Hello, everybody. Welcome back into the Horseshoe, the site of Ohio State 56, Indiana 14. It was so close to 49-7 for a while, but the margin of victory was correctly predicted by the podcast. Except for Berm, he backed off during the pregame show.
Should have kept that tutty in there.
That's Bill Landis, Jeremy Birmingham, and I am Austin Ward.
That's all right. I got the extra Ohio State touchdown made it all worth it.
It sure did. It was special. This is Snap Judgments, and we could probably do an episode entirely on Cameron Babb. And Berm has known this young man for a very long time, so I will just cede the floor to him before we talk about the rest of the game.
When you see an entire team react the way that the Ohio State football team just did when Cam Babb catches that touchdown, like we hear so much in cliches about the brotherhood and all the stuff around here, and some of that stuff is worth like reverberating and worth like rehashing over and over and over. But when you talk about Cameron Babb, like the impact that he has on these guys on this team is not like everyone else. Like he is the unquestioned leader of this football program and has been. And CJ Stroud talked about it in postgame. He was the leader when Chase Young was here. He was the leader for J.K. Dobbins. He was he has been through so much stuff to keep perspective the way he has, to keep going, to keep pushing himself to say, I'm going to do this. It's going to happen. It was just really amazing to see it happen. And I could see it on the field. I was at the other end zone, but Buckeyes were getting ready to take the field for offense. And you could see Cam was like, he was shaking his leg. And it was almost like you could tell him, he was looking at his leg going, come on, don't fail me.
One time.
And he got out there and he made, had a couple nice blocks on the drive and almost sprung a touchdown run with a block that would have been just absolutely terrible because he's physical.
He'd already done that part before.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really just something. It was very emotional watching him and his mom reconnect right on the field during the game and right after the play. And you saw Emeka Egbuka with tears in his eyes. Everyone on the sideline, like these guys understand so much better than we can ever understand what someone like Cameron Babb has been through, and it's truly special. And I'm glad that Ohio State made that opportunity happen for him. 4
ACLs and a broken leg, 5 consecutive season-ending setbacks or injuries. He had got that opportunity a few years back. Sort of the last time I remember really seeing him do anything. He was throwing some of those blocks in the Big Ten championship game, pressed into action there, threw one for Trey Sermon that led to a touchdown. But he'd never had a moment like this where the spotlight was actually on him. Not sure that that's truly where he wants it to be as a leader. You want to help put that light on others, but the guy was given the Blocko jersey for a reason. It wasn't by accident. And there was really no second option for this team in that regard. So they dialed up a play that featured him. CJ Stroud said he felt some pressure to make sure that was his best ball of the day. And the catch, I don't think you asked him if it was hard or it was an easy one. That wasn't an easy play. That wasn't a gift touchdown. He had to go earn it, which I think made it even cooler.
Yeah, one of those kind of pivot routes in the sideline. The margin for error is pretty small. Maybe they could have dialed up something a little easier.
Like one of those ones to Emeka, no one's around.
But he did create good separation. Like it was also a reminder of like Cameron Babb is a really good receiver when he's healthy.
CJ Stroud told me last spring that Cameron Babb was the best receiver on the team. And that was when Garrett Wilson was here and Chris Olave was here and Emeka Egbuka was here and Marvin Harrison was here as freshmen. And he said if Cam Babb was healthy, he would be the bullet in the coffin. And maybe that's hyperbole, I don't know. But what you know is that he was a very highly recognized or highly recruited player. And, just thinking like everyone in the stadium knew where the ball was going except for Indiana.
Yeah.
But kudos to CJ for putting it where it had to be.
That play, like we had talked about, I think in the preseason, like when that moment comes, it's going to be pretty special, and yet it somehow exceeded, I think, those expectations. Maybe because we weren't sure what would actually come after he got that setback in camp. But yeah, it was really cool. I thought too, like of all the interactions he had on the sideline, he must have hugged Adam Stewart, the team's physical therapist, for 2 minutes after all the players had kind of dissipated and it was just 2 of them alone. So that was really kind of a tender moment.
So that put a cap on a 42-point blowout. And, we could keep talking about it, but there was a football game that went on for a lot of the other key Buckeyes and regular starters. And to put that into the national title chase perspective, we should do that now. And it starts with another injury. This team is the walking wounded in the backfield, and it's crazy to see what's happening here. Mayan Williams looked like just as soon as Ohio State had found some things that it was getting some traction, getting the running game moving again. Again, not perfectly, and there were some short yardage things that I'm sure we're going to talk about, as we have been for 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. Mayan Williams goes down and gets an awkward tackle on top of his foot. Can't put any weight on that right foot, goes to the sideline, straight to a cart and into the locker room, does not return. Don't know. He was on crutches and had a walking boot. I was told that there's nothing broken in there preliminarily, and that Ryan Day was going to let him sleep on it, and then they would try and evaluate that more tomorrow.
I don't think they should let him sleep on it. I think they should elevate it.
That's
And just let him
That's
sleep.
good advice. We should probably pass that along. It doesn't look good. And with Travion Henderson also in a walking boot, Chip Trayanum scratched from the lineup, and then even Dallin Hayden having a brief scare coming out in the second half. He was the only scholarship running back still available.
And TC Cappy's out for the year.
Yeah, that's right. The guy that they were leaning on as the walk-on and supply some depth, he's gone. I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like it.
Well, but then you have Xavier Johnson with a 70-yard touchdown run where he was weaving his way. It is a reminder of how supremely talented Ohio State is when you compare them to everyone else in the country. But it is also a bit of a concern moving forward. Ryan Day did say that what they saw in the locker room was that it didn't appear to be too serious, but too serious, that is subjective, of course. And I guess at this point, while we just look to project ahead to Maryland, maybe Dallin Hayden and Xavier Johnson are your running backs next week.
Yeah,
and Chip Trayanum, Ryan Day did say he'd expect him back next week.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I guess it's not funny, but it's
not funny. Ha ha.
It's unfortunate for them. Not funny. Ha ha.
Gallows humor.
They finally they ran the ball pretty well today against an Indiana defense that, for all of the shortcomings, is a pretty good rush defense. And yet you still come out of it thinking like, boy, I don't know what's going to happen with this run game because they're so now shorthanded at the running back position. I guess maybe take some solace in Ryan Day being a little more upbeat about Mayan Williams than I thought he would be coming out of the game. But I mean, that stuff can change tomorrow when like swelling goes down and you get to get a better look at it. And I don't know, like even if Travion Henderson, is healthy, like do you want to play him against Maryland? I don't think you do.
I doubt
so,
it.
I imagine they're going to go into the game next week with a bit of a skeleton crew at running back.
Yeah, some of the people that I talked to coming off the field were not nearly as optimistic as Ryan Day made it seem in his post-game press conference for Mayan Williams specifically, and really that's been the way Travion Henderson's foot issue has been described as well. So none of this is ideal, and all of it is viewed through not the lens of Maryland next week, but being back in this building in 2 weeks at high noon for the game. Because for all the things that I've said, which is that Ohio State is a pass-first team, and they showed that again in some short yardage and red zone situations today where play action and throwing the football is to their benefit, not detriment. There's going to be opportunities, obviously, in that game where they're going to have to run the ball. And, DeJuan Jones has now missed time. Bright side is that you get Josh Fryer some experience. When Mayan comes out, I guess the bright side is that Dallin Hayden got in there and protected the football well. So it's obviously a give and take, but that was the only thing today that Ryan Day was up there saying, I wanted to bang my head against the wall in short yardage. Well, maybe there's another option.
Yeah. You can throw the ball. It says it in the rule book. I was reading my copy up in the press box.
You're allowed to
throw the ball in short yardage. I think, you asked him. He said they're probably being a bit stubborn, trying to run the ball in those situations. And like in a game like this, I guess that's okay. I think in a Michigan game or a Big Ten championship or a playoff game, they probably will have more balance in third and short, but they're trying to work through it at the moment. And I just don't think they're built that way.
Do you know when play action works the best?
When teams think you're going to run the ball.
Not when they think you're going to, but when they think you can do it effectively, right? So
no, I don't. I actually disagree with that. I actually think there's like evidence to suggest that you don't have to be a particularly effective rushing team to be a good play action.
Well, then what my point is, the play action stuff in the red zone that Ohio State did today, twice to Cade Stover for touchdowns, like that's what you have to show because eventually you're going to have to muscle up and beat someone at the point of attack. And Dallin Hayden had a nice first touchdown run of the day, quick one cut and score. Mayan Williams obviously had a long run on a third and short where Josh Fryer and Matthew Jones cleared out some space and he went over the right side. I thought the entire right side of the line, Matthew Jones played better today. He was still pretty gimpy.
Sure did.
I'm surprised that he was in there, to be honest. The play right after Mayan Williams got hurt, Matthew Jones got up and could not walk, and they go to then it was like, what are you doing here? But he was still out there, and it wasn't replaced until the entire line was replaced later in the game. So it's football. Guys get hurt.
You know what else would work well with play action? If defenses have to be scared that you're going to run play action, and then they don't sell out to stop your run. I don't know. That's just a backwards way
that
of
also helps the run.
Yeah, I know. Sure. That's what I'm saying. That they can't sell out to stop it.
It's like the two things go together.
Yeah. Peanut butter and jelly.
They have done a fair amount of play action the past 2 weeks out of pistol and from under center, just for whatever reason, not in those situations.
Yeah, I really don't mean that to nitpick today, because I don't think that there's anything to stress about for Ohio State. This was a return to normalcy in my mind. They don't have to win every game by 42. They were favored by 40 and they covered.
But it's sure nice when they do.
So that's, I think, probably important to a lot of people out there who wanted either to see Ohio State handle its business, which it did right from the start, or were personally invested in them doing so. Or maybe even both. I don't know.
Stockdale.
That's Wednesday's show.
This is the thing, though. You're Ohio State. You go out there and you're trying to work on things, and then you put a guy back there to catch punts, and he drops 2 of them in a row. And then you're like, hey, why are we doing this? And it's a weird day.
But Jaden Ballard caught the last one, though.
Yeah. And good day. I mean, we haven't even talked at all about the defense, which obviously played pretty solid. I mean, they give up the 7 on the jump ball to the tight end over Cam Brown, which nothing he was going to do to stop that. That guy was just a foot taller than him.
Yeah, I mean, what's Cam? 5'11", 6 foot, 200, and the guy who caught the ball is 6'6", 250.
Indiana did recognize early that they had to move away from Connor Bazelak and put in the quarterback that could change some things up with his feet. And
not with his arm.
And Dexter Williams. I mean, he came out, the first ball he threw was a 40-yard completion down the middle. And
coverage bust.
Turned out to be a fluke on a coverage bust.
You just wonder, those are the things we've seen a couple times with Ohio State. Like, who's responsible there? J.K. Johnson on the second touchdown they allowed. I don't know who's responsible there, but it does seem to be happening that when J.K. Johnson's on the field, teams are throwing to the side he's on and they're scoring. So
I think they pulled him out after that and never put him back in the game unless
he went back in
late.
When they put the second teamers in there, he went back in. But after that first touchdown, it was all Jordan Hancock, Jair Brown, and Cameron Brown.
I thought it was great to see. So it was funny. Cameron Brown after the game, I happened to find myself talking to him, and just by pure luck, and he wanted to go find 88. He was like, I didn't realize that you were that big. That wasn't fair. And they were joking about it. And he was like, congratulations on the touchdown and moving on. And then, as I was continuing to talk to him, like, he felt himself. His game should not be evaluated purely on giving up that touchdown. It wasn't a great matchup for him. He broke up 2 deep balls, getting a head around and getting a hand in that I think people have wanted to see from Ohio State's cornerbacks all year, and it has not happened very frequently. Bill, you brought it up in the pregame that there aren't a lot of interceptions for this team, but there also aren't a lot of PBUs coming from the corner, especially in these deep balls, and Cameron Brown provided 2 of them today. That's a big deal. He and Jordan Hancock, both healthy and playing extensively, and they needed that again because they're still not at full strength because Denzel Burke apparently picked up an injury in pregame warmups and was not able to go.
Yeah, that was weird. But it was good to see Jordan Hancock play basically the entire game. I'll be curious to see the snap counts. It felt like Cameron Brown was rotating a little bit, but Jordan Hancock might have been out there for every high leverage defensive snap. Yeah, it was good. It was good to see. I thought they handled the change from a kind of a statuesque quarterback to a more mobile guy fairly well. What Indiana was able to do moving the ball, it kind of happened on trick plays and that one busted coverage that we talked about. They got after the passer pretty good, stopped the run like they have all year. So, I don't know. It's not a very good offense they faced, but they did their job again.
No, but, what we're looking for is Ohio State to be doing things different. We saw 2 times Lathan Ransom sent on a blitz, got home both times. Ohio State blocked the punt. First time all year long that they've even tried. I mean, I've been saying it on every Monday rewatch, like, why not just try to block a punt? and now you see they try, and they did it fairly successfully, I guess. It's 100% success rate.
Is that their first block punt since they blocked one against Indiana in 2019?
I think so. I mean, they don't send guys back.
They don't go after it very often. They said that, and Lathan Ransom talked about this after the game, that Parker Fleming scribbled up a change to their normal approach because of what they saw from Indiana. And Lathan's like, cool, I'll take that and I'll go right out there and do it. And it worked. And then Caden Curry almost scored for him.
I mean, we saw I mean, Ransom tried to pick it up. He got knocked away. Caden Curry tried to pick it up. He got knocked away. Xavier Johnson picks it up and gets down at the 2-yard line. And you just have to be able to show different things. And so everything, we keep saying it, every week is about November 26th. So you're just showing a little bit of this. Make Michigan have to think about this. Make them worry about that. CJ Stroud today, even on the first drive of the game, showed the willingness to run. His spatial awareness in running the ball is not entirely up to speed. He does not seem to realize that, like, you can put a ball out or maybe duck. Don't let someone hit you.
Well, he shouldn't have on that first one.
Don't let someone clock you right in the throwing shoulder.
Because he took a massive hit there.
So he's learning. He's figuring that out. But just the willingness to do it is different for this team. And as he was asked in postgame, like, he's maybe required to do that a little bit more over these next couple of weeks.
Definitely. And
definitely will be.
Back on injury watch we go for yet another new one. That's been taking up most of our time this year as Ohio State tries to get healthy to go to Maryland, although that's not what they're trying to get healthy for. It's 2 weeks from now in this very building against rival Michigan. We will still be going to cover Ohio State at Maryland next week. Kickoff time should be confirmed later this evening or tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. But we'll have a lot more post-game coverage coming your way on ohiostate.rivals.com and the podcast. So stay tuned for that. It was Ohio State 56, Indiana 14. This has been Snap Judgments. That's Bill Berm. I'm Austin. We will see you tomorrow.